Welcome back to Rewind of the Living Dead. I'm Damon Martin.
And I'm Patrick Chica Guerra.
And Patrick, tonight we are talking about, I know it was one of your most anticipated films of 2025.
Way at
Five
the top
Nights
of the
at Freddy,
list.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2. If you go back and listen to our review of Five Nights at Freddy's from 2023, we were not big fans of that movie, but we are here for the sequel because when a movie makes $297 million in the theater, they're going to do a sequel, and here is the sequel.
When the movies are successful, we end up having to talk about them. That's just how things roll over here at Rewind of the Living Dead. So yes, Damon, we are talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, released in December of 2025, starring the likes of McKenna Grace as Lisa, Wayne Knight as Mr. Berg, Freddie Carter as Michael, Matthew Lillard as William Afton, aka the Yellow Rabbit, Elizabeth Lail as Vanessa, Piper Rubio as Abby, and starring Josh Hutcherson as Mike. Written by Scott Cawthon, Cawthon? Yes, Cawthon, and directed by Emma Tammy, with a budget, Damon, of $51 million, and something tells me they will have made that money three or four or five times over by the time the run is done, because let's be real, like it or not, Five Nights at Freddy's is here to stay.
So you know that generally speaking, going into any movie like this, we don't, I don't read reviews. I try not to watch too many trailers, avoid trailers if I possibly can. But with this one, I didn't because it's a sequel and it's harder to
Yeah.
escape that kind of stuff because you already kind of know what you're going into. And I did read a lot of headlines for reviews, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, places like that, and none of them were very friendly. Let's put it that way. They were not. They,
To say the
they were not,
least.
I think what I saw on Rotten. I'm not a big Rotten Tomatoes guy, but I think on Rotten Tomatoes it has like an 11%, which is not good. That's not a good
Nope.
score.
No.
But the first one didn't get rave reviews, and it made $297 million at the movie theater because Five Nights at Freddy's is an immensely popular video game franchise. Now, I'm not much of a gamer. I used to be years ago. I'm not much of a gamer now. I don't think I truly understood how big these games were because I went to the theater on opening night and my theater was freaking packed. I mean,
Hmm.
packed to the gills. And like in one of the big auditoriums too, like one of the big giant auditoriums, it was packed to the gills for like the 9:45, 10 o'clock show at night. And I was like, geez, like this franchise is insanely popular and people who play the game freaking love it.
It's kind of like it's the kind of surprise I get when I go to a Final Destination movie and it's packed shoulder to shoulder, and I'm like, and believe me, like I enjoy some of those movies, so it's not like I don't get it, but you don't get just how popular it is until the numbers hit you, and the numbers for Five Nights at Freddy's were undeniable. When you're north of $250 million at the box office off of a Blumhouse budget, basically, because Blumhouse produces these movies, and they produce them at a low budget on purpose. I mean, raking in the dough, Damon. Raking in the dough. You guarantee a sequel because your fans showed up for it. Somebody over at Blumhouse was like, "No, you guys don't understand how deep the lore and the fandom goes on YouTube and for the video games because I know it's also just big on YouTube. And my kids do this too. They'll sit and like watch." People talk about a video game and they'll talk about little Easter eggs they see in video games. Like that's wildly popular. YouTube is a very, very popular format. And Five Nights at Freddy's sort of has dual domination over these different formats of video game and YouTube. They're big in both places. So like my kids even know a lot of stuff about Five Nights at Freddy's, even though they don't play the video games, but because the people that they follow on YouTube talk about Five Nights at Freddy's all the time. So this is just big stuff. And you can try sometimes to tap into internet culture and it doesn't work. With Five Nights at Freddy's, it worked, Damon. It worked really big for the fans. That's not to say it works as a movie. And you and me, I think we come into everything as objective as we possibly can. When the first Five Nights at Freddy's came out, I had no thoughts on it this way or that. I just said, all right, show me what you got. Matthew Lillard's in it. Cool. I'll go show up. I'll see what they got. I understand that this is more entry level horror. That's not a problem. I'll just go in and see what they got for me. What I got out of it was one of the most convoluted, just strange, sort of boring, sort of like it's almost like a non-movie as best as I could put it. So coming off of that, that's kind of what painted my. I try not to be pre-framed when I come into something, but boy, when I step into a sequel already knowing how I felt about the first one and knowing damn well it's going to be more of the same this time around, it was hard to not be like, fuck, I'm going to have to sit for this and see if they make improvements. They have about doubled the budget. I think the budget on this one's $51 million. So a little over double of what they got last time, but they knew. They said, well, we got to put more money into this because we know we're going to make more money off it. We have all the analytics and everything, so we are going to put double the money in it. So I thought to myself, well, with double the money, then we're probably going to get double the Five Nights at Freddy's. We're going to get something bigger and badder and crazier and maybe even a little edgy for a PG-13 movie. Damon, it was literally more of the same. I mean, it was almost the first movie over again. It in some weird way. Like I know we'll get into it in spoilers. They do introduce a new character. And this will probably frustrate the shit. If you're a hardcore Five Nights at Freddy's fan, I'm sorry. I don't know the lore. I don't know the backstory. I am just a guy who sits down for a movie and tries to be as open minded as possible and lets that experience in. So, what you're getting from me tonight is going to be a guy who misses all the lore, who does not know this side character, who does not know that little Easter egg or whatever. I'm evaluating the experience that I was given that evening. And I'm here to tell you it was boring and flat and uninteresting and beyond fan service, Damon. It was an inside joke. And I don't mean joke, I'm not like, making light of it. I'm just saying, like, it's literally insider stuff. That's what this movie is. And all that's left for me to evaluate, because I don't know any of the insider stuff, is how the movie was presented to me, how the story was told, how the story was executed, how the acting expressed the writing. That's all I can do as a viewer, because I don't have any of the backstory and the back knowledge. So I'm going to irritate the shit out of Five Nights at Freddy's people tonight, because I'm burying the lead, Damon. Another Five Nights at Freddy's that is not for me.
This movie's not for us, period, Patrick, because we're
It's
not
not.
game players. And here's the thing. Here's what I realized. I realized this was the first movie when it made $297 million. I'm like, really? That this is an insanely popular franchise. And last night when I saw the movie, I was sitting in my row and it was incredibly crowded. So I'm like, oh yeah, this movie's going to do very well. And there was a group of like tweens behind me, like girls and boys, probably between the ages of like maybe like 15 to 17, 14 to 17, somewhere in that age. Whole row of them right behind me. And I was like, oh God, this is going to go badly. They were very quiet, by the way, very respectful. Good job, kids.
Great. Fantastic.
But there were like 3 or 4 moments during the movie where they audibly gasped and got excited about characters showing up or little Easter eggs that I assume are from the video game. Like I heard them behind me going, oh, it's him, or, whatever.
Right.
And I was like, that's awesome. Like they were having the time of their lives watching this because their favorite video game was being brought to life on the big screen. Meanwhile, me sitting, 3 feet away, I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Why do I care? Like, what is this? Like you said, it felt like an inside joke that I wasn't in on.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Now, after seeing the movie last night, I decided to do a little research today, Patrick. And what I did the research on was I wanted to read up on the Five Nights at Freddy's video games. Because you and I have reviewed The Last of Us on this show. I'm not a game player, never played The Last of Us, but I know it is an intensely popular video game series. And the adaptation on HBO has been both loved and hated. Loved by a lot of people, but a lot of the game players are like, you changed this, you ruined my childhood. Your favorite thing. Me personally, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, is it a good show? Like, I've enjoyed it, and I didn't need to play the video games to enjoy it. I've enjoyed it. I've pretty much enjoyed a lot of The Last. There are little things I don't enjoy, but for the most part, I've enjoyed the show. But I was curious, so I wanted to go read the synopsis, the plots of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, because maybe I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just missing something here. Like maybe I can pick up on what the theme or the overall plot is just based on reading the video game synopsis. Like I'm not playing the game, but they're going to tell me what happens. I'm here to tell you, Patrick, and I'm not trying to insult the game players. The plot isn't that intricate. It seems to me that every video game is someone gets hired to work inside of a haunted Freddy Fazbear's restaurant. The animatronics come out. You have to avoid or kill them or whatever and you have to survive till the next day. And the common theme of every game that I saw, the next morning, the person who worked there got fired. Like literally, it's like, and then he gets fired, and then he gets fired, and I'm like, so literally, it's just like changing the setting, changing the restaurant, changing the employee. But the plot, at least through the first couple three games, I didn't read. I think there's like 9 games. I read through like 3 of them. They were all the same. Guy works in a restaurant, security guard, accountant, whatever it is, works. You have to work from midnight to 6 and survive, basically. And that's when all the weird ooky shit happens. And I'm like, okay, like I'm sure it's a fun game. I'm not a gamer, but I'm sure it's a very fun game. But unlike The Last of Us, which literally plays out like a movie, like really intricate storytelling, I didn't get that sense from Five Nights at Freddy's reading it. So adapting it, you're obviously going to add in layers. You're obviously going to add in new story points. So I guess the problem I have is it feels like they didn't. Like they kept pretty much what the game was, which is go to the restaurant after midnight, the animatronics come alive, and bad shit happens. It's the same, as you said, it feels like the same movie over again, except this time, there are different Freddy Fazbear's restaurants because it was a franchise, and there's like a couple new characters kind of introduced in here. And that's really about all. And that's not a spoiler. I'm not trying to ruin the movie for anybody. I'm just saying, like, it feels really similar to the first one. And now I kind of understand it because when I read the video game synopsis, I was like, yeah, this doesn't sound like it's a very intricate story to me.
Damon, I'm going to read you the IMDb synopsis. It's a very short one. It's just like a one liner. Anyone can survive 5 nights. This time, there will be no second chances. Damon, you're a writer for a living. Yeah, and you just gave me this look like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Damon's a writer and an editor. The man is a professional writer. Those 2 sentences have nothing to do with each other. That is what they put for people to understand what the movie's about.
That sounds like the line from Wedding Crashers where the girl goes, "You shut your mouth when you're talking to me."
And Damon, I don't want to belabor the point that I don't know the stories and the backs. I don't want to belabor any of that because who needs the old fart hour? Like nobody needs that. Okay, like we get it. We're older. We don't play these video games. Let's move past that. I sit all the time for fandom movies and TV that I know nothing about. We are currently, by the way, shameless plug, Rewind to the Living Dead's Patreon is covering It, Welcome to Derry. Guess who's never read the book in their life? Me. Guess who's never seen like all the ancillary stuff about it? Me. Guess who doesn't know anything about the Pennywise lore? Me. It's not a problem that I don't know these things. What great storytellers and filmmakers do is they can take anybody and bring them into a fandom, bring them into a fantasy world that some author, video game creator, what have you, they can bring me into that world and immerse me in it and get me to understand it, get me to enjoy it on a level that is, okay, let's be clear, a little more general, you know what I mean? A little more baseline. Okay, this old fart, he's sitting in the theater with a bunch of 20-year-olds. We're gonna allow him to also enjoy this movie too. What Five Nights at Freddy's has done twice in a row now is said, fuck that. And I don't just mean they're forgetting like general audiences. They're forgetting general rules of storytelling, setting up, paying off, logical choices amongst characters, character development, things like that, like kind of basic things. But Damon, I've sat for Until Dawn this year, which it's an okay movie. It's not great, but it's not horrible either. I don't know anything about Until Dawn. I just sat there and I understood the movie. It wasn't hard to pick up on it. They gave me the movie. They melded that world enough to go, anybody who's never played Until Dawn can understand this and enjoy this. I think enjoy is more important than understand. I actually want to be clear about that. That Patrick can sit down and enjoy Until Dawn because we're going to give him some blood, some guts, some gore, some scares. A couple of good cinematic moments, some good acting or decent acting, and some decent writing, and a plot that goes A, B, C, D, E. You know, like they allow that world to be a little bit more malleable so I can understand it. Same goes for The Last of Us. I never played the video games. Same goes for Game of Thrones. I never read the books. But I got drawn in by great character development. I got drawn in by, decent scares or just decent something. This they skirt all of that to just go through the motions. And some of it is generational. Some of it is, yes, I'm not into specific internet culture. Like my kids watch a lot of YouTube stuff, and I'm like, wow, I do feel old because that's a pile of shit that you're watching. That sucks. Like it's not interesting, but it's interesting to them. I get it. It's speaking a new language to a different generation. That's fine. But you're making a movie. You're making a 90-minute movie. So just at least attempt to tell a good story. Attempt to give me characters that I give one damn about, because the characters move through Five Nights at Freddy's 2 as if they have been hit by tranquilizer darts. There's no motivation amongst them. There's no urgency. Even in the plot is very clear to me. Oh, we need to hurry the fuck up. These giant killer robots are trying to kill somebody. Believe me, I can follow that much. But the characters are like, okay, let's go. I mean, they don't even have if they're not urgent about it, Damon, why should I be? Really? Like I mean, that's just basic story. It's universal storytelling. It's not back in my day. It's like, no, that's just how it works. That's how it's worked since the dawn of storytelling. And they say, "Nah, we're not going to do that." But what do I know, Damon? They're going to make $250 million on this.
So here's the question. You're kind of talking about it right there, so I'll just kind of bring it up. We're going to talk about it anyways, which is like, how much responsibility do adaptations have to trying to appeal to the widest audience possible? Now, when you hear $297 million made for a movie, well, that sounds pretty fucking appealing. I mean, let's be
It
honest.
does.
A
Yeah.
lot of people watched it. A lot of people went and paid the money to see it. So clearly, there's a big audience. But it feels like the people who loved that first movie were the game players. It's a very big game franchise. I know it's a very big game franchise. Anytime I walk around, at a concert or the one time a year I go to a mall, I see people wearing the shirts. So I know it's a very popular franchise. But just like anything else, how responsible do filmmakers have to be to make it as widely accessible to everyone as possible? You mentioned Until Dawn, a movie that was very divisive. Some people liked it, a lot of people hated it. You and I were more on the positive side than the negative side. We didn't love it, but we thought it was decent enough, pretty decent enough movie. We never played the game, but we're like, yeah, it was fun. There were some pretty good death sequences, some pretty good gore. It was, it was all right. Um, and I did hear a lot of game players saying, "Oh, they ruined it." They didn't ruin
Right.
it. But my question, I guess, what I'm getting at is like, when you make an adaptation, book, play, or video game in this case, how much responsibility do the filmmakers have to make it as accessible? And I'm almost answering my own question, and I'm kind of in a weird. I'm not defending Five Nights at Freddy's because I did not like this movie. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was just, to me, just as bad, if not somehow worse than the original. But I almost feel like there needs to be a disclaimer at the beginning of this movie, Patrick, that just says, if you've never played Five Nights at Freddy's, a video game, get your refund and walk out of the theater right now. Because they're not making this for us. This isn't
No.
The Last of Us, where they're making it such a compelling story that if you've never played the video game, you understand who Joel and Abby are. You understand who all the characters are and what's going on in this world and this fungal infection, crazy zombies. You understand all that. I was a big Walking Dead comic book fan. Loved the comic book. And I was so excited when they made the TV show. And I'll say, like, the show went off the rails at certain points. There were parts of it I really liked, other parts I didn't really like. But just like anything else, like everyone, like Daryl Dixon, the most popular character in The Walking Dead, Norman Reedus, was not in the comic. Never in the
Right.
comic. And while a lot of the story points in the comic to the show are similar, they're also different. Like a lot of the places are same, and some of the there's a lot of beats that are the same, but there's a lot of differences because a comic book is 30 pages and a TV show is an hour at a time, and you're just going to have a lot more go on in a TV show. So I understood that. If you had never read a page of the comic book, you would still understand The Walking Dead. As you know, as weird as it got at certain points, you'd understand it. Now, for a guy like me, when Negan shows up, a guy who had read Walking Dead 100, and when Negan actually makes his first appearance, I was like, oh my God, here it comes. I'm so excited. And I was jazzed for the episode. And they kind of fucked it up, but that's neither here nor there. But I was so excited for Negan to show up. When they first mentioned his name, I about orgasmed. I was like, oh my God, it's Negan. I love the comic. But I knew it was going to be different. Like, the Negan in the comic book is this big, giant, hulking, muscular dude. Like, he's a big-ass, big-ass dude. And then they get Jeffrey Dean Morgan to play him. Now, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's an incredible actor, and he looked the part. He looked like-ish Negan, but he wasn't this big, burly, like, you know.
He's a really slight guy. I don't know if you've ever met him. He's very thin. He's a small, not small. He's just a very petite guy. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very small dude. But he looked the same, but like his build, everything was way different than comic. But guess what? I didn't care. It's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. You had a great actor to play that part, and he played it brilliantly. So, like, you're going to make changes from the original to the adaptation. We get that. But like I said, if you'd never read a page of the Walking Dead comic book, you could watch the show and get into it, and you'd love it. Same thing with Until Dawn. Never played a video game, watched the movie, got into it. I think the problem with Five Nights at Freddy's, and like I said, just reading from the synopsis of the video games because I wanted to do my research, it just doesn't seem like the games have much of a plot. So like they're just adapting this and like, okay, we got to put in the animatronics, we got to put in people in danger, we got to get into that restaurant, and we got to let loose at some point.
Yeah. Introduce some characters from the video games. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know they really did that, to be honest with you, because I believe there's a character named Mike in the first video game. But I don't think, like, I'm not even sure, like, Vanessa, if I'm not mistaken, is not in the video.
I don't think so. No, I'm talking more on the scary side, like the monsters have to be introduced and doled out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I was reading the game, and I'm like, it literally sounds like every game is go to the restaurant and try to survive a night with the crazy animatronics. That's fine. I'm not downplaying the game. It could still be a blast. You know what I mean? Like, I had fun playing Pac-Man as a kid. Like, that's not a very intricate game either. You know what I mean? Or Mario. Like, that's not the most intricate game ever. But I loved it. So, I guess in a weird way, I'm defending it, but I'm not defending it. I'm defending it in the way of, like, I think they are making kind of a faithful adaptation based on the game. But here's the problem is, like, for the kids sitting behind me, they're audibly gasping like, "Oh, that he's there, or that character's there. Oh, they made that animatronic." I have no idea what they were gasping about. I'm assuming that's what they were gasping about. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I was like, "All right, it's this character." Okay, like I didn't, but so they're not making it for us for one, and two, I don't think the people behind this movie really even care to make it widely accessible because the video game people are going to show up and do what the tweens behind me did, which is it's him or it's her, and it's not even about being widely made for the bigger audience because I don't think they care. Now, me personally, I think there is a responsibility to making it accessible because imagine if, and I'll give you an example right now, something that kind of pisses me off, and I'm really hoping it's not true. Final season of Stranger Things is happening right now. I'm not going to get into spoilers. I'm just going to say, and there's a big theory right now, and I'm sure you've seen this online, that a big part of the plot in the final season ties back to this stage play they did. I'm sure you've seen this.
I've heard about the stage play.
But there's like all these people talking about like it's tied to the stage play because it is supposed to be canon, quote unquote canon, right? And everyone's like, oh, here, let me explain to you what this is. Now, I've never seen the play. I live in freaking Ohio. I've never been to Broadway. I've been to Broadway, but I've never been to Broadway to see this play. And I said to somebody on somebody's video that talked about, like, here's what's happening. I'm telling you because this is from the play. And I said, if that's how they're going to do this and that's going to be the detail, like the big reveal in the final season, I'm going to be pretty pissed off. Because, like, I've invested 5 seasons of watching and loving Stranger Things, but I didn't fly to New York to see a play. You're not even giving me something that I could just turn on Netflix and watch. if that's really the biggest twist in this final season is something attached to a play that I would have to imagine the vast majority of your audience hasn't seen, that's a really dumb move to me. Like I
It's
don't like
yeah.
when you watch Game of Thrones. I read the Game of Thrones books, and is it fun to know little things that you don't know, or kind of the little intricacies? Sure, it's fun to know that kind of stuff, but it would piss you off pretty bad if they revealed something really big in it. You had no idea, like, what is going on? Oh, well, go read the book; you'll understand it. Why? It's you're not there to read a book; you're there to watch a show. So, like, I don't. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is it's just like Five Nights at Freddy's clearly doesn't give a fuck. Like they're just like, we're just gonna make a movie that looks cool and puts in cool shit from the video games without a story. Because the story is so simplistic. Like I don't even really know that we can have spoilers in this episode because nothing really happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to talk about the story. I'll be really honest with you. Like it's such a weird, convoluted plot. But I'll say this. So, Game of Thrones, there you said it right there brilliantly, right? Like there are little things in Game of Thrones where you get to giggle as Damon Martin, the diehard book lover of Game of Thrones. You get to giggle and go, "Oh, they have that one thing in there," and Patrick, it went woo right over Patrick's head. I still believe Game of Thrones is one of the best television shows of all time. Even with the end, I know you hate the end. I still love it. I still think it's incredible television. Look how that works. I got a book fanatic in front of me and a guy who's never read the books, and we both equally enjoy it. It can be done, and it has been done many times. But I'm gonna give Five Nights at Freddy's the benefit of the doubt. They're gonna go, hey pal, we also just made a buttload of money, and our fans can sustain us. So I don't need your highfalutin, write things correctly, do things this way, blah blah blah. We don't need you. Okay, note taken. Got it. But there's plenty of proof out there that it can be done. You chose not to do it. So now, Damon, I'm going to put on my other hat. I'm going to put on my shareholder hat. Let's say I'm a shareholder at Universal or Blum. I'm pretty sure it's Universal that is under the umbrella that Blumhouse sits under. And as a shareholder, I go, okay, so we made 250 million. Is that correct? Yes. Off a $20 million budget. Yes. Sounds pretty good. Why didn't we make 500 million? Well, what do you mean? Well, we made this so narrowcast that we rely solely on our fans to watch it. If you get me, a 40-something-year-old guy, to go, you have to see Five Nights at Freddy's. Damon and I corner the market on 40-somethings. We just do. Okay. We got like 30 to 45 to 30 to 60, I think is our range, somewhere in there. If I go to the people who listen to us, you have got to see this movie because of A, B, C, D, and E. All of a sudden, more revenue comes swinging in. If I go, hey, all women over 40 who love fantasy novels have got to see Five Nights at Freddy's. That is a huge market, Damon. That market will make you money at the theater. Those women will be back week in and week out to see your thing. If I'm a shareholder, I go, we could have made 500 million. This is clearly very popular. You're going to make your guaranteed 250. Cool. Make me more. If the argument is I don't need to tell your story the good way, cool. Okay, don't tell the story the good way, but make me more money now. So now I'm going to play that game with you.
Or if you're going to do it in the reverse, do it in the way like you're saying, where you make it more widely accessible. So I watch Five Nights at Freddy's, I love it, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to play the video game.
But sell some video games to some 40-year-old guys who don't play video games.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if we're gonna play that game where we go, hey, old man, I don't need you. Okay, fine. But the old men are the ones holding all the cards, right? We got all the money and all that. Oh, not me particularly. I'm just saying in general, you could have made more money. You could have made more money by bringing more people in. So any way you slice this, you could have done it better. You just could have. And I'm going to say one thing here, Damon. I'm keeping my lips very tightly sealed. You and I have some inside dirt on the original script of Five Nights at Freddy's, and we happen to know a very important person who read that script and said, this script is absolute dog shit. It doesn't matter. We're doing it anyway. It's gonna get made anyway. a person of influence in the industry, a real person of influence in the industry, looked at this script and said, "It doesn't matter. It's going to make a lot of money anyway." It doesn't matter. They knew, these people that sell these movies knew it was going to make money. They didn't even bother to make the script better. Or they said, "Don't bother making the script better. Don't even bother." That is that why we get into movies now? Is that what we're in here for, movies now? For people that are of serious influence in the business to just say, "Yeah, the script's a pile of shit." A pile of shit. Their words, not mine. The script's a pile of shit. Just make it anyway. What does it matter? What does it matter? Is that where we are? Okay, if I let me just throw it back into a fan's face. If I said this video game's going to make my company a ton of money, I don't give a shit if it's the worst video game ever. You're going to buy it. Would you, as a video game fanatic, go, "Hey, fuck you, pal"? You probably would. So on the flip side, it works. I promise you, any way you slice this, coming into this half-assed is it's bullshit, Damon. They didn't need to do that. They didn't need to come into this half-assed. They chose to come into this half-assed. And that's the ultimate beef I have with Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Last thing I'll say before we get to spoilers, it will eventually backfire on you, though. Like, it will eventually backfire on you because even the most dedicated game players are eventually going to need more than just Easter eggs from the games to like want to go see these movies. And I'll relate it to like a musician. Like, you may love a musician and you may buy all their albums. Like, their first two albums are your two favorite albums of all time. They come out with their third album and it's just not anything like. I remember, I'm not even a fan of them, but I remember when they did this. Do you remember Mumford and Sons when they got big? They had that like folk banjo, like, they were kind of
Yeah, I hated that, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I one of their albums, I can't remember which one it was. One of their, they basically turned into like an electronic, like, like basically like Maroon 5, how they used to be a band and then they just turned into like keyboards and the one dude singing, Adam, whatever his name is, Adam Levine or whatever
Right.
his name is.
Yes.
Like, Mumford and Sons was like this weird folky banjo, whatever. They
Yeah.
kind of created their own style. And I think one of their albums came out and they just went away from it and they started making like weird electronic music where it was just like the guy singing over like auto tune. And like people are like, "What the fuck? Like, huh? Who is this? What?" People will buy the album and you will do like first week album sales of just your hardcore dedicated fan base. But eventually that fan base is going to turn on you because they don't recognize what you're doing. I think the half-assness, for lack of a better word, of this Five Nights at Freddy's franchise is they've now made two movies guaranteeing they're going to get their Five Nights at Freddy's video game fans into the theater, and they're going to probably make another 250, 260, $270 million, and that is, once again, still a lot of money. But as you said, when you start alienating the general fan base, and eventually you're going to alienate the video game fan base because they're going to need more. Like, they're eventually going to need more than just Easter egg after Easter egg after Easter egg. And there, by the way, you can do really intelligent adaptations of like less intricate material. It can be done. Like, it absolutely can be done. But this feels like these two movies, and in particular the sequel, it feels like they went down the absolute path of least resistance. They're like, we could just shove some animatronic cool monsters in there that you all recognize from the games. A couple other characters, we'll bring back a couple people from the first movie, and we'll basically just redo it. And we'll throw in, like I said, a new character or two here and there. People will go, "I recognize that from the game." Cool. I don't give a shit. Doesn't do anything for me. And at least if you had created a somewhat compelling story or somewhat compelling characters or, sorry to say, somewhat compelling performances, at least you draw me in with that.
Right.
I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm just being honest. There was zero appealing about this movie to me. And
Yeah.
I did not, I knew I didn't like the original, but I went into this one with a completely open mind saying, surprise me. Let me get a better story. Even if I don't love it, give me a story that I can get into. None of that happened. This was the worst case scenario for what I thought this sequel could be. It was the same movie over again, yet I think somehow worse.
Somehow it almost feels it's weird to say that it feels worse. I think it's worse. I guess we got to get into why it's worse.
Yeah, so Five Nights at Freddy's our ringing endorsement. It is in theaters right now. You can go check it out. If you want to check out this episode early and all of our episodes early, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/rewind of the living dead. Very cheap. You can access this episode and every episode early. We're recording this on a Friday night. It will be up within a half hour of us finishing recording. We do not drop the episodes until Tuesday night/Wednesday. So you will get this 5 days ahead of time of everybody else, and you can hear us talk about our wildly positive
Oh,
opinion about Five Nights at
I
Freddy's
bet you
2.
can't wait to subscribe now.
But we also do our weekly It Welcome to Derry recaps over there, which are only available on Patreon. We also do a Film Core podcast, which is where you guys, as our Patreon members, vote on a non-horror movie podcast. We try to do one every month. We've done Running Man, we've done The Smashing Machine, we've done Superman. We have a poll right now of new films that we're going to potentially review. So go over there right now, patreon.com/Rewind of the Living Dead. So Patrick, let's get into spoilers. Do you want to talk about this insanely intricate plot that
Oh,
unravels in Five Nights at Freddy's 2?
it's like four plotting plots, is what it is. It's just like four different storylines that all move at the pace of a possum who is constipated. Like, I hate being mean about movies, Damon, but this movie was mean to me, and so I'm going to be mean back to it. But what we do is we start back in 1982 at a bustling, I believe the original, if I'm not mistaken, Five Nights at Freddy's, right? I think that's what they're
I,
implying. They never say, so that's a problem. But I believe it was like the original, the very first Five Nights at Freddy's, as far as I can gather. And this young girl, Charlotte, sees someone take the boy. Now, who she's seeing is William Afton, the guy that we know likes to steal and kill children, right? So she like runs to go save him, and she manages to get him from the clutches of the yellow rabbit. And all of a sudden, she appears on stage. All the parents, by the way, ignored her when she was like, "There's a kid being kidnapped," and they did this weird '80s thing where the parents like totally ignore her. It did not land well. I know what they were doing; it just didn't land well. But she's on this stage. She looks out all over these parents, and she's just bitter. She's bitter because she tried to save this kid, and no one helped her. And in the process, Yellow Rabbit stabbed her in the back a bunch of times. And from what I can understand, in that moment, she dies. And then she is placed in the arms because she's standing on the stage of the marionette. And therein, Damon, lies the new rub, lies the new thing, the new character, the new exciting thing for this movie is the marionette, who I'm assuming is part of the video game lore. I mean, I would imagine the guy next to me was very excited to see the marionette. So I was like, well, it must be important. And this marionette, for reasons I don't know why, and I don't believe they ever truly explain, is like a possession demon,
Sure.
and they never explain. And she inhabits the body of the marionette, and then fast forward to now times, and we're in the aftermath of the original Five Nights at Freddy's. And Abby is missing her friends, the ghost friends from the original. I don't even want to get into that. That was talk about convoluted plots. But she's missing her ghost friends, and Mike, her brother slash guardian, is like, "Hey, you know what? They're over there somewhere." He kind of tries to wave her off and get her distracted. She's very pulled in by wanting to see her friends again. That's her storyline. But of course, then the other storyline is this ghost hunter Lisa, played by McKenna Grace, who's the new one of the new fresh characters in the movie. Her ghost hunting friends go to this place, and she gets possessed by the marionette, and then the marionette does stuff. I don't know, stuff, Damon. I don't know. And at the same time, there's like a Fazbear Fest, and Abby wants to build a robot, and the robots help her build a robot. I'm Damon, there's so much shit going on, but none of it here's the problem. Okay, so there's so much shit going on and old man Patrick can't follow it. Fine. Name a character who's excited, name a character who is working with any ounce of urgency. Everybody in this movie has 20 things to do, and they can't seem to give a shit about doing any one of them.
You missed two major plot points, Patrick. Let me
Oh
educate you,
God,
buddy.
I can't. With there's so many goddamn plot points.
Don't forget, you forgot about Vanessa, the
I
daughter
I
of the
didn't forget
original
about
serial
Vanessa.
killer.
I just didn't want to talk about Vanessa.
She's still being haunted by the image of her father, who was the original serial killer. So she's still trying to deal with that PTSD. And then the big plot point you missed, Patrick. I know you're really
I know.
you're broken heart about this one. The marionette, it wants revenge on the parents for not paying attention to the little
You,
girl when she tried to
you're right.
warn them all those years ago. So she doesn't want revenge on the guy who actually killed the children because that ties back to the first movie. No. The marionette wants revenge on all the parents who didn't help her when she cried for help, which is quite. I'm not saying like the parents shouldn't feel guilty for not paying attention. I get it, but it is the dumbest. Like, okay, we're not that like it. Don't get mad at the serial killer. Get mad at the people who didn't pay attention to you back in the '80s for warning you about a serial killer. Oh, okay, that's where we're going with this one. And yes, Patrick, it feels like every actor in this
But
movie
Damon,
is on.
can I stop you right before you talk about the actors in this movie? You know the reason I bring that up. The reason I bring that up is because that's basically the reveal deep into the movie of the marionette's motivation. Like deep into the movie, when you're going, why is she doing all this? Why is she doing all that? About an hour deep into the movie, I would say it's an hour 20 into the movie, she finally just says, that's why I'm doing all of this. She just says it. It's the grand reveal. Like you're basically explaining the end of the movie. That's why I didn't put it up at the front. I was kind of teeing it up. But to imagine waiting for a whole movie to find out that, yeah, the marionette's just after all the parents because because they didn't do anything to the kid. Yellow Rabbit did stuff to the kid, but I'm mad at the parents. And I was just like, I waited the whole movie for that motivation. Okay, great. Anyway, continue, Damon.
Yeah, and yeah, it feels like everyone in this movie was on like a heavy dose of Thorazine. Like it was just like, and I'm gonna be clear about it. I try never to go out of my way to be cruel to anybody in a movie. But
No,
Josh Hutcherson, who is in the new show I Love L.A., which I'm really enjoying, by the way, Rachel Sennett's new show. I really enjoy the show, really funny, and he's been pretty good in it. So I don't want to sound like he's always like this. But watching this movie, man, like Josh Hutcherson is just weak sauce, man. Like he is the weak sister. He is
oh,
just a
Mr.
weak,
Tarantino's here tonight.
weak, uninteresting guy, the weakest fucking actor in SAG. That was Josh Hutcherson in this movie.
Oh, for all the mega dorks out there, I just lost my camera. For all the mega dorks, Damon is, yes, referencing Quentin Tarantino dogging Paul Dano for no fucking reason this week, just deciding that Paul Dano's the worst actor he's ever heard of. So, Josh, buddy, we're just kidding you, bud. We don't feel that way.
I had to include that. I had to include that for old Josh Hutcherson. I still have no idea what happened to your camera, Patrick. You're still not there.
I know. I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah, like Josh Hutcherson, I'm sure he's a fine guy, and I'm sure I've seen him in other things. He was fine. He was literally sleepwalking through this whole thing. Which, by the way, if you tried to read the script and tried to understand what this plot is about, you probably sleepwalk through it too. But yeah, it just feels like nobody was really that interested in being there, and you can really tell it in the performances. And yeah, it was just dramatically not good. So yeah, it was weak sauce, man. It was the weak sister. It was definitely that the weakest uninteresting guy in SAG.
That's very unfair to Josh Hutcherson and Paul Dano. Justice for both of these men. No, Damon,
I told you would enjoy my Josh Hutcherson commentary. I knew you would.
and believe me, if the voting poll keeps up, we're going to talk much more about Quentin Tarantino's ability to insult people publicly. No, Damon, it's very convoluted plots, and I'm not talking about the lore. Again, I don't want to get the two things confused. It's just like how many hundreds of steps must one character take with zero motivation in their performance, zero urgency in the performance, the plot, the script, anything in the score. I mean, like I'm not even dogging the person who did the score because the score is barely in the movie. So there's not even a bed of like music to push anything. It's barely in there. Like there's just something on every single level about this movie that feels very unmotivated. That feels very much like a bunch of executives who were like, just push it out. Just put it out there. But we want to make it good. Don't do that.
Well,
Put it out there.
remember the original came out in 2023. This is coming on 2025. Do you know what this feels like? And I know you'll agree with me on this. This feels like in the slasher heyday of the 80s when they were rolling out a new Friday the
Yes.
13th movie every single year because like, oh,
Hmm.
it made money. And they did that with Saw for a while too. Every single October there was a new Saw movie. And guess what? Sorry, each one did not get better because they weren't putting any time or effort into it. They're just like, we got to get it out there. Friday the 13th, one and
I
two
say the first four are good, or the first, especially the two, 3, and 4. I think are pretty good.
I think 1, 2, and 4 are good. 3 is all right.
3 I love, but it's not the best movie.
But I'm not even talking like 3 is fun, but not because it's a good movie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no, that's true.
but they just kept churning them out because they're like, we're making money, and they had to get them out there as quick. That's why you end up with like 14 Friday the 13th because they're like, we got to make one every year. And it was Saw too. Saw's like 13 movies deep. And then like, it just started in the early 2000s. Like they just kept going. They haven't made us like it was a good lord, man. Like they were just churning them out like a printing press. Uh, and it kind of feels that way with this one. They're like 2023 is when the original came out. And I remember when the first weekend did bonkers numbers. I was like, geez, man, this is really popular. And they immediately ordered a sequel. And I get it. Like that's how it works. So when you make that kind of money, they want to build on the momentum. But the problem is when you churn this out so quickly, and I would say like you're looking for me to find a compliment to pay this movie, I will say some of the effects did look a little better. Like it feels like, and to their I don't know this for a fact, but I have to imagine it's true. The animatronics and things like this, these are mostly practical effects. Like these are not
Yeah,
CGI.
they didn't look bad.
Yeah, they didn't look bad. So I was like, okay, you got me there because the practical effects were still pretty cool. I'll give you that because I'm a practical effects guy. You know that, Patrick. Uh, so I was like, cool, that's fine. But they didn't put time into anything else. This is 100% a slasher movie of the 80s. We're like, oh, it made money. Get the next one out as quickly as possible. What about a story? Fuck the story. Get the movie out there as quickly as possible. What about bringing in new actors? Fuck the new actors. Get it out there as quickly as possible. Can we work on bet? No! Get it out
No.
there as quickly as possible. And here we are 2 years later. And once again, I'm sure it's going to make money. And so you kind of find yourself being dumbfounded because you're just like, well, clearly we're not the audience for this. Clearly they didn't make it for people who haven't played the video game. And even if you did play the video game, it almost feels like you're watching it for the Easter eggs, not necessarily for the movie, if that makes sense. You're like, oh, I get to
Yes,
see
not for the
this.
story.
I get to see it on the big screen. I get to see Freddy Fazbear and Pika or Pita. What is it? What the fuck are the characters? Chica, whatever.
Yeah.
I get to see Chica on the big screen. Oh man! But like, remember, this is such a bad comparison. Remember back in the '90s when they tried to make a Super Mario movie with
Oh,
John
yes.
Leguizamo and Bob
Oh,
Hoskins?
yes.
Remember
Yes,
how
I
bad that
do.
movie was? Do you remember how bad that was?
As a diehard, I'm a diehard Super Mario Brothers fan because of my age. And I was just like, what is this crock of shit? Like, what the fuck? Even like however old I was 12, 13, maybe not even that old. Even young Patrick was like, unacceptable. Do better, folks. Make a better movie. Like real like that's how I wasn't like, oh, they're not following the plot or they're not giving me Easter eggs. I was like, you just made a bad movie. And that's how I feel about like if I was a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, I'd be like, oh, cool, I'm seeing all the things that I like, but this is a bad movie. And I want to get into a little bit of why. Okay, Marionette is running roughshod, I think, like through this movie. So how do we stop her, Damon? Well, through many channels, Mike ends up finding Charlotte's dad. Now, right? Dad. Am I getting that right? Okay. Finds Charlotte's dad, who is played by Damon. Dun dun dun. If you did not pay attention, Skeet Ulrich. And if you're going, well, why is that important? Well, Matthew Lillard's also in this franchise, so you got Matt and Skeet in the same movie. I mean, you know, the Scream Dream Team back together again. Hell, fucking yes. And I'd love to see them on screen at some point, just because I'm a geek. But never mind.
Although they never actually appear on screen
They
together in this
they
movie.
never
So.
spoiler alert, they never are on screen together. But don't worry, Damon, because Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is coming for you. Skeet Ulrich is Charlotte's dad, and he goes, "I have this music box. Take it to her. Take it to her. Why don't you take it to her? Like, why are you just sitting here? You know where she is. You know what it can do, and you're not going to take it." I rest my case. It's just bad storytelling. And so I know right then and there that he's going to take this music box to the marionette. He's going to play it. It's going to stop her just in time. Exactly that thing happens. But then like there's some little escalations and I'm like, okay, fine, like that was a false victory. That's fine. That's the paint by numbers version of it. But it was just like, and I'm developing a couple scripts right now. So this happens when you're in the first and second draft, you're like, we'll put this here for now and we'll make it better later. Clearly executives are like, you're not making it better later. You're making the movie tomorrow. So you just go make this. This is enough. This is enough. He's going to very sloppily say, this is for her. Take it to her. Even though I could do that too, but I'm not gonna. You're gonna. Why? Don't worry about why. It's not important. It's a first draft, is what it feels like. It just genuinely feels like a first draft of a story where you go, we'll make that better later. And they go, no. I swear, Damon, this is deja vu for the first movie. When I talked about the first movie, I think I said the same thing. I go, you got a first draft script sitting in front of you. And just make it better. Just make the script better. But they refuse to. They give you the absolute bare bones basic on top of just way too much shit on screen. Way too much shit being flown at the wall. Not even on screen. Just convoluted storyline after convoluted storyline after convoluted storyline. Um, I, I was exhausted, Damon. I was genuinely exhausted.
They even go as far as breaking their own rules that make no sense. And I'm going to get on this, and we're going to talk about the ending, and then we're going to get into categories because I don't know how much more I can talk about this.
I'm done.
One of the plot points about the marionette. So Vanessa was the little girl at the beginning of the movie. The daughter, William Afton's daughter, was friends with Charlotte when she was a kid. And she tried to get Charlotte to join the rest of the crew, and she was kind of obsessed with Freddy Fazbear, and that's when she saw the kid getting kidnapped. And so Vanessa's always felt guilty about Charlotte's fate, that Charlotte died from her father. And she said she discovered Charlotte was the marionette, was possessed of this marionette all these years ago. She found her hiding in the restaurant, and she's like, "Oh, you're, the spirit." Because once again, there's no explanation. Spirits just hang around these restaurants because why the fuck not? And she said the only way I could get her to go back to slumber or sleep or whatever is I found a music box. And so she left the music box. Apparently, it just plays forever on an endless loop, never dies, whatever. Once again, suspend disbelief. And because when the ghost hunters go in the restaurant, you hear the music, and that's what McKenna Grace's character makes the ill-fated mistake of closing the music box, and then the marionette escapes. So, Paul Dano, Josh Hutcherson, goes to Skeet Ulrich's house and finds out about Charlotte. And once again, as you said, Skeet Ulrich goes, "Here is a music box. My daughter loved this song right before she went to bed. If you see her, give it to her. Play it." I'm like, huh? Whatever. Okay. So Mike has the fucking music box. He goes to his house, and the marionette is attacking his sister and Vanessa, and shit's gone haywire. He walks in and flips open the music box, and the music starts playing, and the marionette freaks out and hightails it out there and basically goes back into a slumber, we assume, I guess. What does Mike do? Closes the music box. Does Vanessa tell him, "Hey, leave it open"?
Vanessa is so unhelpful. She is the most unhelpful character who has all the information I've ever met.
She literally just explained this thing about the marionette like 10 minutes earlier, maybe 15 minutes earlier. He comes in with the answer, the solution. That's like saying you're fighting Superman and you have a stake of kryptonite and you stab him, and instead of leaving it in him to die, you take it out and be like, "All right, man, cool, let's go again." What the fuck are you doing? Like she literally told the story. The music box puts the marionette to sleep. He walks in with the music, not knowing it. He just knows that his, so he opens the music box. I think Vanessa told him about the music box too, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. He comes in with the music box. He opens it up. She hears the music. She hightails it out of there. But Vanessa just told us 15 minutes earlier that the music box, that sound of that music, puts the marionette to sleep. So does no one think it's a good idea just to leave the fucking music box open? Or would that just be too easy of a solution for this dumbass movie? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you're going against your own rules. You're telling us that the only way you control the marionette, the spirit of the marionette, was with this music box. The music box got closed, the marionette is freed, and it possessed McKenna Grace. Now it's out in the world. Now it attacks Abby. Now it's at the house. Josh has a spare music box that he just so happened to get from her dad. Okay, sure, whatever. He opens the music box. It freaks out, which is the reaction you would hope for, right?
Right.
But then they just close the music box. Where we just learned 15 minutes earlier, that's how they trapped the marionette the first time. I'm exhausted, Patrick. I really am. I'm sorry.
Well, they had to close the music box, Damon, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because the robots have to resurrect, and we have to bring back the ghost kids from the first movie. Another very confusing and convoluted plot from the first movie. I'm not going to get into it, but that's why. It's so lazy to just go, the woman who knows all the answers is standing in this room, and she won't be like, don't close that box. We need to keep it open. No, they need to close it as an excuse to get the ghosts to come back and help them. That's it. And the ghosts were not part of this, movie at all, other than the fact that Abby wanted them back at some point. And I believe at one point she literally just yells into the Five Nights at Freddy's and goes, help me, guys. And that's it. And then she walks away. There's no great like storytelling membrane to connect it all.
Well, I mean, don't forget, Mike shows up there to the same restaurant and goes, if you guys are here, come save Abby. And they do. They show up.
But like there's no connection to it. It's just like he walks in the room and says it and walks out.
Yeah.
And like you said, that is very, very reminiscent of like bad 80s sequels and cash grabs of the time that were just like, just go in the room and say the shit and just walk out. It doesn't matter. No one cares. And that's how they approach it. They go, just nobody cares. Just go do it. Just so we can get an excuse to bring them in later. Not have any good connective tissue, not have any great setups and payoffs. They don't want that. They don't want any of that. They just need an excuse to show the thing that everybody loves. That's it. There's like, well, how do we get the excuse to get the ghost back in? Well, we'll just do A, B, and C. And if it comes in sloppily, who gives a shit? And so the ghosts come back for a split second. I mean, literally just for like the shortest of scenes to explain. And this is a huge problem with the movie, is that the movie exists and lives and dies in expositional dialogue. They just have to stop the movie every 10 minutes or so and explain the movie. That's what they do. They just explain what's happened. It's such a boring way to watch a movie. And then those ghosts are like, hey, we helped save the day. We finally finished saving the day. The robots can't survive this far from Five Nights at Freddy's. So why is this movie even happening if that's the rule? And they fly away, not before saying, but now that we're gone, we won't be able to contain him. And him, they're talking about the Yellow Rabbit, aka William Afton or whatever. Like they're like, now he's going to be your problem. And Damon, my favorite part of this movie is the end of this movie. Not just because it's over, but because
that was my favorite part too. When I got to
not just because it's over. It's the one time in the movie where something logical happens. At the end of this movie, Vanessa and they've been trying to do this will they or won't they with Mike and Vanessa the whole time, and it's very dry, and they have the chemistry of, oh, I don't know, Damon, a slab of wet concrete, and they're like, will they, won't they? And then in the end, Vanessa's like, oh my God, thank God that's over. We have to figure out what to do next. Mike turns to her and goes, fuck you, pal. I'm out. Don't get anywhere near me or my sister. It's the one logical character motivation in the entire franchise at this point. Of course, Mike would be like, fuck you. You knew all this shit the whole time and got us into all this shit. So you're out. You're fucking out. I don't want to be friends with you. I definitely don't want to date you. I'm pissed off at you. Come on, Abby, let's get the hell out of here. And the movie's over because they're cliffhanging for a third movie. You know, they show that William Afton is going to be resurrected in the Yellow Rabbit, and there's going to be hell to pay. And believe me, everybody's going to tune in for that because we love Matthew Lillard. And that's how the movie ends. That's the only thing about this movie that I like is that Mike in that moment did the right thing. Many far superior movies gloss over that. And this one didn't. That's the only thing I will give this movie credit for.
And we didn't even talk about the fact that Vanessa has an older brother that somehow shows up in this movie just out of nowhere that she never mentioned before. And you're like, oh,
that's right. That no one's ever heard of.
Michael, my brother. She's like, what are you doing here? And it's like, huh? Like what? Huh? Like, where did this come from? Like,
right, and he was the architect of unlocking the marionette. Why he couldn't unlock her, I don't know. Again, they just keep throwing shit at you, just so there's shit to throw at you.
Yeah, it's just I would agree. I will agree. If you're getting me to give me one, if you want me to give one positive to this movie, it was that Mike being like, "No, bitch, you're not coming with us. I don't want to be with you. Get you and your whatever the hell away from me and my sister. Go off." That was the one logical plot point in this entire movie when you're like, you would really not want to be around this girl who's consistently lied to you, put your family in danger, and she's like, I'm so sorry. Well, of course you're sorry. You about got me and my sister murdered again. So yeah, fuck right off, and he does, and I'm like, good job, because like this is one. So yeah, that was the one logical plot point of this entire ordeal was him being like, no, I don't want you. So yeah, it was rough, and there was a post-credit scene, as you mentioned, setting up yet another sequel, and it just felt to me, like we used to get excited about the Marvel post-credit scenes because like they would always tease, like when we were working towards Thanos and Endgame, it was like very exciting to see what the end credit was going to be. And people have kind of gotten pissed off and kind of ignored the end credit scenes now because a lot of them just don't pay off anymore. Like they introduced Charlize Theron in one of the Marvel movies, and like she's never shown up again. Like Kit Harington's in one of them. Like he shows up, you're like never shown up again. Like no one ever sees him again. I'm like, what was the point of that? So people have kind of gotten fed up with that, which Marvel's on a whole other trajectory of issues they're having right now. But like that was like used to be exciting. Ooh, what's going to be the big tease for the next movie? And now like no one even cares about those anymore because they don't really go anywhere. The post credit scene in this movie felt so cheap that it's just like, hey, we know you're going to come back for a third one, so we kind of left you on a sort of a little bit of a cliffhanger. Like they don't totally solve the problem because like when the ghost kid is like, hey, we're going to fuck off now, and you're gonna have to deal with the fallout. And then Mike and Abby just hightail it out of there, and Vanessa's left behind to deal with the pile of shit she's been sitting on this entire time. And then the post-credit scene runs, as you said, like it kind of hints, oh, William Afton's back. They're not even trying to like tease something good. They're literally just saying, hey, you're going to come back and give us another $15 in 2 years when we get at this third one that we're going to churn out immediately, and it's going to come out within 2 years because we want to continue to capitalize and take your money. Yeah, it was bad. It was all the way around bad, Patrick. There was not a whole lot redeeming about this one.
Damon, I'm going to say this last thing before we get to categories. Earlier this year, we reviewed The Strangers Chapter 2. And boy, were we not kind to that either. Okay, it's been a year. We'll be really honest with you. And you said something that you almost immediately kind of took back a little bit, but you were like, "We're not doing chapter 3." You said, "We're not doing it." And then you went, "Well, all right, maybe we'll do it if our patrons really want us to do it, we'll do it." I'm here to say, Damon, we should not do Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Not because we don't like the movies, which we don't, but because I don't want to waste our listeners' time anymore. This is not for us. You said it at the top of the show, and I'm saying it here at the bottom. This franchise is not for us. It's for people who want the Easter eggs. It's for people who want to see the certain little scary characters here and there. It's for them. I would love to do less negative podcasts in 2026. It's one of my New Year's resolutions. It's like, can we be nicer to movies next year? Because wasn't my year for movies, but it starts with just saying sometimes you need to step away from a franchise. This is not for us. It's just not. And so I don't know about you, Damon, but I feel like we should not do Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
Let me just say, Patrick, let me reiterate something here. This movie is just weak sauce. It's weak sister. It's such a weak, uninteresting movie. It's the weakest fucking movie in theaters right now. So no, I don't want to do the third one. I'm with you on that. So sorry. I had to keep using that quote. It's just a fucking funny quote. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And like there's part of me like if we did ever do this, like people are like, we really want you to review it, we need to get a game player on here to be like, here's why it's awesome. Because
how about we get two game players to replace us for that episode so
Yeah.
they can tell you why it's awesome. Yeah, it's just not for us, Damon. So
Yeah.
why should we torture our listeners any further with something that doesn't interest us, period. And the people behind the filmmaking of it are not interested in making us interested in it. So it's a wash.
Yeah, it might end up being that way with Osgood Perkins in the near future too. After Keeper, that's just another.
Boy, yeah, we're getting close hit with him too.
Yeah, Patrick, let's talk about some categories. Let's kick things off as we do each and every week here on the show, and let's talk about best performance, or I'm going to call this for Five Nights at Freddy's 2 the most tolerable performance because it's rough going out there. Patrick, who gets your quote unquote best performance in Five Nights at Freddy's 2?
I'm going to give it to a character that we didn't even talk about, which is Mr. Berg, Abby's teacher, played by Damon Wayne Knight, yours and mine's favorite, Newman from Seinfeld. It was cool to just see him again. I'm a big fan of Seinfeld, so I know you are too. So it was great to just see Newman in a movie. And the whole time I was just going, okay, Newman's doing that, Newman's doing this, in his own subplot where he's trying to stamp down Abby's love for the Freddy Fazbear thing because I don't know why.
You call him Freddy Fazbear.
Yeah, whatever it is, I don't know what the name of the Fazbear. See, I am an old man about this, Damon. Wayne Knight is a consummate character actor who's been doing this for decades, and it shows. You know, they bring him in for this. You know, he probably does a week on it or something like that, and he gives it his character actor all. That's what you're looking for. He did it. He sold it. He probably gave me my favorite moments in the movie just because he had a modicum of enthusiasm while he performed.
Hello, Newman. Yeah, I mean, you know,
Hello, Jerry.
For me, one of my favorite Seinfeld lines all the time. I say this all the time is the one where he thinks Jerry's cooking food and he goes, "Jerry, I pondered this bridge between us, old friend." And he's like, "I don't have any food in him." He's like, "Damn you, Seinfeld, you useless pustule." I use that insult, you useless pustule. Yeah, I love Wayne Knight. For me, best performance, I'm giving it to Matthew Lillard, who was in this movie for about maybe 14 seconds, maybe 20
Oh,
seconds.
yeah, it's about 14 to 20. Yeah,
He comes in to haunt Vanessa's dreams as her dad. By the way, Tarantino hates Matthew Lillard too. There's another one he hates. Yeah, like he's and you're. I know it's a cop out. You're like, oh, he's in it for like 30 seconds. Why are you giving it to him? Because like at least he tried, man. Like I'm not. When I was saying that about Josh, I was using a funny quote about Paul Dano on Josh Hutcherson to make a joke, yes, but also because like he didn't seem to want to be there. Like he was just like, yeah, I'm getting paid for this, right? Like it's a paycheck, and I'm gonna get okay, cool. Hey,
he's gonna make a
Abby,
boatload of money. Yeah, he's gonna
Hey,
make
Abby.
good money.
Hey, Abby, it's time to go to school. Hey, Vanessa, I need to go to the restaurant. Hey, how do you turn on this computer? Oh no, the robots are going to my house. Like that's literally the enthusiasm these people are putting into this movie.
Yeah.
So I give it to Matthew Lillard because like at least in the like 30 seconds he's in it, he at least looks like he's enjoying it. And you know, I'm sorry, I'm disagreeing with my guy Quentin. I love Matthew Lillard, so I give him best performance.
And I just want to echo that because I want to disagree with Quentin Tarantino.
Patrick, next category, MVP. When it comes to this is a rough one, I'm sure. When it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, who gets your MVP award?
Damon, I'm just going to say I'm giving it to the creature effects team, the people who built the largely practical animatronic puppets that are in this movie, because you got to marvel at something. Like there's just that we talk about effort, right? And I think we've shit on this movie all night, and I feel bad about that. But truly, the effects team put in all the effort you needed to make those things come to life. So that is the silver lining on this turd cloud, where these animatronics that everybody shows up to see, that all the great fans of this franchise want to see, they got real, legit, good-looking puppets. They really did. I don't have a bad thing to say about the design of them, the execution of them. They were well made. So the creature effects team, this one's for you.
So mine's a weird one, and you're gonna be like, "Really? You're giving this guy your MVP?" I am giving him my MVP, and my MVP is actually going to original Five Nights at Freddy's creator Scott Cawthon, or Cawth. I always want to call him Cawthorn. It's
Cawthon, yeah, Cawthon.
Cawthon. Here's why. He wrote this movie. It's not a good movie, but here's why I'm giving it to him. Because a lot of times when you are a creator of something, and I know this from dealing with like when Marvel made the Winter Soldier movie. If you read all the stories about the original comic book writers who created and basically the lore of the Winter Soldier that they injected in the movies, they got nothing out of it. Like they got no credit. Like they got a little blurb at the end of the movie. They got no money. They got no, they get no residuals, and they literally created Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier in the comic books, and they eventually adapted that. Now, Winter Soldier is a huge character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and obviously, why am I forgetting his name? The actor.
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan, thank you. Fantastic actor playing him. The reason I'm giving Scott Cawthon, I keep wanting to call him Cawthon, the MVP is because he still at least has creative control. They're giving him the chance to create the movie version of his video game. Now, I'm not saying it always works. I'm not saying you shouldn't have assistance and help with that, but if the video game people love this, which it seems like they do, they can't get mad at what happens because it's literally the guy who made the game making the movie. So like you're like, hey, I love this. Blame the guy who made the book or made the game. Hey, I hate this. Hey, blame the guy who made the game because he's also writing the movie. So I'm not saying it's good. It's clearly not, and I clearly didn't enjoy this. But at least you can all the blame or the praise falls on the guy who did both the movie and the video game, and you really can't fall on anyone else. So you can't blame Universal or Blumhouse and say, well, they had too much creative control. Clearly they didn't because they allowed the guy who made the game to make the movie. So love it or hate it, it's his creation. Clearly it doesn't work for us, but it seemingly works for other people. So good on you, Scott Cawthon.
Scott, go get that bag, boy. It's all good. Go make your money, okay? Just because, and believe me, he doesn't care that we don't like his movie. He's like, I'm sitting on mountains of money. I don't care what you think. I'll write the worst script in Hollywood. I can give a shit.
He's wiping his tears with $100 bills right now.
He's like, oh no, the guys that rewinded Living Dead don't get my movie. I wrote it. And it's not even a first draft. It's like a half a draft. What do I care? He doesn't give a shit. He's rolling in it.
Exactly. Next category, Patrick, best scare. Is there a scare in this movie? I'm just curious.
Well, the guy sitting next to me, who was about 20 years old, was covering his eyes and squealing like a child, with his girlfriend, by the way. And I was like, well, you also have a girlfriend. That's cool. Like I'm just letting her know. There's a scare where, the marionette takes Lisa and we don't see what happens. And then later on when they show up in the back at the original wherever she is, the Five Nights at Freddy's place, she appears again, and Lisa does not look like Lisa. Lisa looks like a marionette hybrid somehow. I don't know how it works. They never explain how it works, and that's fine. But just she looked freaky, and she appears and she doesn't look like Lisa anymore. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll give you that. It sure scared the guy next to me, so I gauged on him.
And speaking of popularity, I'm throwing this out there. I forgot to mention this earlier. Like, I was at the theater tonight because I went and saw Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair. So I saw Five Nights at Freddy's last night. I saw Kill Bill tonight. And I was in line at the concession stand, and they were selling these, like, $50 Five Nights at Freddy's like box sets that were like basically like a little stage with like little puppets on the stage, and
Right.
it was like a little set. It was like $50. I saw them sell like 10 in
Yeah.
like the 2 minutes I was in line. So once again, clearly people care about this franchise. Anyways, um, my best scare, I mean, again, it wasn't really scary, but they have this weird like boat ride in this version of Five Nights at Freddy's, like in the Freddy Fazbear's, whatever the fuck it's called. And one of the ghost hunters falls into the moat and then just decides to hang out there because why wouldn't you? And a whole bunch of the marionette toys like attack him, and it turns into like a blood pool, like a Jaws movie. Wasn't
Right.
particularly scary, but I was like, all right, you went for a classic like Jaws scare where the guy gets pulled under and then just all the blood comes bubbling up. And I was like, well, at least you went for a classic scare or a classic horror movie moment, which by the way, I think that's like actually literally the only blood you see in this movie is that bloody pool from the water right there. So yeah, so I'll go with the bloody pool Jaws style is my favorite scare.
Sure.
Why not? Best kill slash best gore. You're really stretching me on these categories here, Patrick. Man, I'm just like, what is your best kill slash best gore in Five Nights at Freddy's? Which, by the way, PG-13s are not a whole lot of gore, being honest.
Yeah, most of everything is happening off camera. I'm giving it to the moment that almost had gore. They just cut away before anything happens, which is one of the robots gets a hold of Mr. Berg, played by Wayne Knight, and starts to squish his head. And I thought for a second we were gonna see just some little bit of a crunch or something, and they just cut away just before anything happened. Maybe theater of the mind, Damon. I like filled it in my head that maybe his head shrinks a little bit under the pressure of the robot squeezing it. They didn't really show enough of it, but it's as good as I could get in this movie, Damien, because it actually happened on camera.
Was that the only death besides the Ghost Hunters?
Well, technically, Charlotte is the first death because
Oh yeah,
Charlotte
she
gets
gets stabbed. Yeah,
stabbed, yeah, by Yellow Rabbit.
yeah, but that's I'm talking about like in the actual like modern movie. It's just the Ghost Hunters and
The
him,
ghost
right?
hunters get got. Yeah, I can't remember if Lisa actually gets got. Does McKenna Grace survive? I don't remember.
No, she gets killed by the Mary when she gets taken by the marionette. I assume she
I
dies
rest my
very
case.
soon,
They
right?
wasted McKenna Grace, so I rest my case. That's then talk about party foul. Don't waste McKenna
Yeah.
Grace. She's
Your,
fantastic.
your best kill is really the one. I mean, I don't really have a better answer. That was the one. And actually, it what's funny is when I was watching it, I kind of forgot it was rated PG-13. I'm like, oh, cool. At least we'll get a good head squashing moment, and it didn't. And afterwards, I was like, oh yeah, it's rated PG-13. So of course they're not going to show a guy's literal skull getting crushed. Yeah, that's the answer. I mean, I want to just like belabor the point and double up on your answer, but really that is because like that was actually like kind of like looked like it was going to be a cool moment, and then I remembered it's PG-13. I'm like, oh yeah, of course they're not going to show this, but yeah. I guess Newman got his head squashed like a grape, so sure that'll be the one because there aren't literally. I mean, literally, it's the Ghost Hunters and it's Newman. Like they're the only ones who get got in this movie. Like there's no like there's other harrowing, I guess, quote unquote harrowing moments, but no one actually dies. So, which by the way, can I also critique one other thing about this movie? They have something in this movie called Faz Fest, which is like a celebration of
Right?
Freddy Fazbear's, and they go to this festival, and one of the animatronics gets out and goes there, and they're all like blown away. It looks so real because it's actually one of the animatronics. To the filmmakers, if you've ever been to Comic Con or any horror convention, can you try to give your cosplayers looking like they had more than $5 to their names and went to the local big lots to search for their costumes? Because like all the people who are at this Freddy Fazbear's Fest are dressed like in like cardboard cutout boxes, and I'm like,
The
I
worst cosplay I've
like
ever seen.
I'm not even saying you have to go for like the crazy person who puts together like a
No,
$2 million cosplay, like literally the guy who builds like an Optimus Prime cosplay and it transforms in real life. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like people put money and time into cosplay, and literally they just had like people wearing like sandwich boards colored purple or whatever, like the
yeah.
color of the thing, and then wearing like a purple hat, and they were supposed to look like Chica or whatever. And I was like, what? This is the worst cosplay ever. Like we are in modern times. Like people actually invest in cosplay now. Like couldn't you have done a little bit? There's literally no effort on the cosplay.
They like put effort on making it look like worse than any like second graders costume that they make on their own. Like I was like,
Yeah.
why would you make these costumes this bad? Like you had to do this on purpose.
Yeah, like it was just so bad. Uh Patrick, next category, best video game horror movie. Now, boy, did you make me research on this one. Can I go first? Because if you steal my answer, I'm gonna be really upset. So I'm gonna go first on this one. I had
Please.
to dig because, like I said, I'm not a big gamer, and I have seen, like I said, we saw Until Dawn this year. I have seen Silent Hill. I've seen a couple of the Resident Evil movies, but mine, I had to dig deep for this one, Patrick. My favorite horror adaptation of a video game is a little movie called Werewolves Within. I forgot that was a video game. What a
Hmm.
tremendous movie by the great Josh Rubin, who also directed Hard Eyes. Uh, Independent feature, funny as hell. It is also a horror movie. It is a horror comedy. We reviewed it a couple years ago. Go check out that podcast. It is such a fun movie. And there's your perfect example. I completely forgot it was a video game. I literally went into Google and said, best horror movies adapted from video games. So I wanted to see if there was something I forgot. And I saw Werewolves Within. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. That was adapted from a video game. And I looked it up, and it is a video game. And there's your example, Five Nights at Freddy's, guys. I had no idea it was a video game, never played the video game, no conscious effort to know what the video game is. That movie is awesome. Do that. Do that, guys. So Werewolves Within is my answer.
And Damon, you were very wise because you knew werewolves within was going to be my answer. But I had a backup here, Damon, and I'm taking it all the way back to the '90s because Mortal Kombat, the original, is technically a horror movie too. It's an action horror, just like Predator. You know, it's got a lot of action, a lot of fighting in it, but it's got some horrific elements too. And that to me was going to be my backup in case you picked Werewolves Within because I was sure you were going to, because that is the greatest video game adaptation that I've ever seen. But Mortal Kombat, man, that one from the '90s. Funnily enough, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who directed the whole Resident Evil franchise. Um, it's just like a crazy outlier where they were like, what if we took this serious? There's one bad bit of CG in that movie. I'll forgive that. The rest of it, it's a phenomenal movie. It's an intense movie and it goes way hard. It goes hard. It goes harder than both movies. It goes harder than Five Nights at Freddy's and it goes harder than Werewolves Within even. It's just a hardcore movie because that's how they did shit in the '90s. They were like, yeah, we're not going to pull any punches. This kid's video game is going to be bloody and nasty and crazy.
And I'm sure you saw the news, sadly. Kerry Hiroyuki Tagawa, who played Shang Tsung
I
in the original
did.
Mortal Kombat, just recently passed away a couple days ago.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
Carrie.
I like the original Mortal Kombat. That was Christopher Lambert playing in that movie. I remember that
Yep.
movie very well. Yeah, it was a fun movie. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I dig the original Mortal Kombat way better than the one they made recently.
Way better. The one recently. Oh boy. Okay. We're not doing that. We're not doing that one. We're not even reviewing that one. How about that?
Yeah. Patrick, we're going to do this category, but we already know the answer, which is remake, sequel, or leave it alone. They literally have a post credit scene solely for the purpose of setting up another sequel. So that's what we're getting. Do we need it? Do we want it? Clearly not. But remake, sequel, or leave it alone, Patrick. What's your answer for Five Nights at Freddy's?
The official answer of the Rewind of the Living Dead podcast is leave it alone. More like leave us alone. Like, I get
Yeah.
it. You don't want us in your theater. Fine. Okay. So leave us alone, please. Don't make a third one. They're going to make it anyway. They're going to make money. Go ahead. Get your money. That's fine. I want all of the actors to get paid very healthily for the jobs that they do in this, even though they basically phoned in their jobs this time. Whatever. Go get your money, keep it going, keep the theater experience alive, keep packing the seats. I want to see that for you guys. I'll just stay home. Is that okay? Are we cool with that? Maybe I'll actually buy a ticket on my AMC list. I get four every week. I'll just put one on there and check it off when I go when I go there to get free parking or something.
I mean they're gonna make it whether we want it or not. But I will say, as long as it gets people into the theaters, I'm all for it because lately we don't.
That's right.
Apparently we're just going to sell companies and not have theater releases anymore, which is terrifying. So if this is a movie that's going to go into theaters and get people to go out to the theaters and watch it, I'm all for it. So go for your sequel, Five Nights at Freddy's. I will not be there, but somebody and a whole lot of other people will. So yeah. So technically, I guess I am saying sequel and go for it. Patrick, next category. Can we survive this horror film? This might be the easiest answer ever, but I'll let you go first. Can we survive this horror film?
Absolutely surviving this horror film, Damon, because A, nobody's in danger unless you're Wayne Knight or a bunch of ghost hunters. I'm not going to a broken down Five Nights at Freddy's, and nobody in this movie wants me anyway. They won't include me in the movie to put me in the actual danger. That's the modus operandi of this entire franchise. So I'm surviving because I've been excluded. I've been clearly said that you're not even allowed in this movie. So I survive with flying colors.
I don't know, Patrick. You might be at odds here because you are a parent, and if you ignored the marionette, she might come for you. So, I mean, technically, you could be on the hit list.
Oh, maybe, just maybe, Damon. It's possible.
I mean, I survived because the real danger in this movie is going to the freaking restaurant. I'm not going to Freddy Fazbear. So, no, like,
That no one will tear down for some
yeah.
reason.
Yeah, and apparently like they make a big deal about how it was like a franchise in the 80s and it got shut down after finding out there were kids being murdered there, but yet every single one of them is apparently still standing. Now, you and I both know we live in major cities. You live in California, I live in Ohio. Anytime that something is not working, they tear it down like 2 minutes. Like they do not leave shit
Yeah,
standing.
somebody wants that property.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, these Freddy Fazbear's locations, like 19 of them, cool, it's all good. Which, by the way, there is where I live, there is a Chuck E. Cheese, which is like, I guess, kind of what this is based upon. There's a Chuck E. Cheese. I live in Ohio. There's a Chuck E. Cheese kind of near me. How many Chuck E. Cheeses are there? There's one. There's one near me.
Right.
One. There's not 19. Apparently, this town where Mike and Abby and Vanessa live, apparently there's a Freddy Fazbear's on every fucking corner like it's a Starbucks. Because they're all going to all these different Freddy Fazbear's and they're all in the same like town. So I'm just saying, like, it's a little convoluted because
I
like,
mean, I'll defend it, Damon. There's a Chuck E. Cheese by my house, and there's another one 15 minutes away.
all right, well, there's not here, so I guess you need to move out of where you're at because there's none of that around me. But yeah, I was like, how many Freddy Fazbear's are there around these people? Jesus Christ. Patrick, last category: is it exhausting? I mean, is it scary?
I am exhausted, but Damon, my opinion is just my opinion. I sat in that theater. You sat in that theater. People were scared. I say people, kids, young people. Young people were scared. The guy next to me was Damon too scared. I'm going to say it. He officially was too scared for this movie. I don't know why. It's not a terribly scary movie in any respect, but it scares the audience it's after. Just because it didn't get me and Damon, that doesn't mean jack shit. The audience I was with was genuinely scared by what they saw on screen. It is entry level horror. I was puzzled because there was not that, the people around me were not that young. Okay. Like the 20-year-olds were the youngest amongst the group. Everybody else was older than that. Yours, there was some teens in there, some teens, some tweens. Mine was a group of adults and they were all scared. So it doesn't matter what I think, Damon. The proof is in the pudding. People are sitting down for this, for apparently the not just the Easter eggs, but the chills as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, I heard audible gasps from behind me. People are very excited about it. And this franchise, if I'm not mistaken, is like 12 or 13 years old. The first games came out,
Yes.
over a decade ago. So obviously you're going to get a mix of like in terms of like the audience. You're going to get older. You're going to get younger. People who play these video games and love it. So yeah, listen, as we've said numerous times, not going to belabor the point, we are not the audience for this movie. But there is an audience for this movie, and I think it's going to make another boatload of money, and they are clearly going to make a third one. But we've just decided here tonight we're not going to get involved because it's just clearly this is not for us. It's not made for us, and they're not worried about us. Like, they're not listening saying, oh, man, we lost Patrick and Damon. Really, what they're just sitting around, if they even know we exist, they're like, who gives a fuck about these guys? Because they're not our audience to begin with. And guess what? You know what? That's okay because, like,
It's
I know
fine.
you have I know you have kids, but, like, when I go to see a movie and they show, like, a Pixar trailer, I'm not the audience for that. I'm not going to go see a Pixar
I'm not
movie.
either, and my kids don't go to Pixar movies either.
But so, like, I guess in a way, like, I'm defending Five Nights at Freddy's because, like, when I see a Pixar movie, those movies make a boatload of money too, and they're not appealing to me. They're not trying to get me. They don't care about me, and that's fine. And that's kind of what Five Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has proven. They're not making it for me, and clearly they don't care because they're not trying to get me in the theater to see that movie. Although now they've gotten my money twice, they will not get it a third.
They will not. They will not. But let them keep on rolling. I'm not a hater. Let them keep on rolling. Let them keep on making the big money, keeping that theater experience going. It matters to me, Damon. It matters to me that people are in seats. Be seated for a theater if now more than ever, folks. I know we just spent an hour and a half trashing a movie that we didn't like but I will never tell you don't go see this movie. You'll never hear that come out of my mouth. It's just not a thing. I believe you should go see it. I believe you should tell me I'm wrong or tell me I was totally right and thanks a lot for you wasting your money. Whatever it is, I believe in the theater experience. I will champion it till the day I die. I will champion that experience. Go to those theaters, support them every single place you are. If you want to see go Five Nights at Freddy's, go knock yourself out. Have a blast. I hope you love it.
Yeah, I mean, I paid money to go see Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, which this is not like a giant secret. It's literally just the two movies together. There's a little bit of differences here and there. It's the way Tarantino always intended it to be shown as one big movie instead of being split into two, which was, by the way, an idea by Harvey Weinstein, piece of shit. Should have just let it come out as one movie, but okay. And I saw it tonight. I own Kill Bill on 4K at home. I could have just watched the movies at home, and yes, there are little differences, but I'm not spoiling anything. Like you're not going there and seeing a hole in the movie when you see Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair. But it was so fucking cool to be in that theater and watch the entire thing unravel over 4.5 hours of a movie I've seen a dozen times, or two movies I've seen a dozen times. I loved it. It was fucking awesome to sit there in that theater and experience that again. A movie I haven't seen in a theater in like 20 years since it came out. Go to the theater, folks. It is worth your time. It is worth your money. And even if I didn't love Five Nights at Freddy's, there were a whole lot of people in the theater with me who did. So go enjoy it for yourselves. Always champion the theater experience. And even for a movie I don't particularly love,
That's right.
judge for yourself. Patrick, that's our episode for this week. Obviously, I want to say a big thank you, as always, to everyone that tunes in the show. Make sure you check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and, of course, over on our website, rewindofTheLivingDead.com, and you can also find us on YouTube. Just search Rewind of the Living Dead. Like and subscribe us. It always helps us over there on YouTube with the algorithm and search results and all that kind of good stuff. And also check out patreon.com/Rewind of the Living Dead if you want early access to this episode or all of our episodes, plus our Welcome to Derry recaps, as well as our Film Core podcast, which there's a poll up right now for what we're going to do next. So go over there, check that out. If you become a member now, you can still vote on that poll. So check it out right now, and you'll decide what non-horror movie we review for Patreon. You got questions, comments, movies you'd like us to review. Tell us how much you loved Five Nights at Freddy's. I would love to hear this. Hit us with an email, rotlivingdead@gmail.com. That is rotlivingdead@gmail.com. You can find us on social media. We are Rewind of Living Dead everywhere, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Instagram. Once again, just search Rewind of the Living Dead, and you will find us on all your favorite social media platforms. And you can also find us on our own personal social media platforms. I am at Damon Martin, and you are?
At Director Patrick.
And a big thank you, as always, for everyone that tunes in the show. We'll be back next week with another edition of Rewind of the Living Dead. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you then.
Peace.